If you thought the Quando Rondo versus King Von storyline had already reached its breaking point, tonight's chaos just proved everybody wrong. Because out of nowhere, Quando Rondo has officially clapped back, and not with a soft statement, not with a casual post, but with a full-on bombshell that exploded across the internet like wildfire. Minutes after he spoke, fans were stunned, blogs were scrambling, and timelines were flooded with the same line: Von wasn't alone that night. And the moment those 5 words dropped, everything people thought they knew about that night in Atlanta suddenly shifted. From day one, the narrative around that tragic night has been loud, messy, emotional, and divided. But Quando's latest clapback didn't just reopen old wounds, it sliced them deeper. The tension in his voice, the frustration in his eyes, the way he paused before saying it. Fans couldn't help but feel there was something he'd been holding back for years. Something personal. Something dangerous. Something bigger than just him or Von. And tonight, he finally cracked. Because according to Quando, the real story wasn't told. The cameras didn't catch everything. The streets weren't given the whole truth. And if what he's implying is even halfway real, then the internet is not ready for what comes next. When Quando Rondo went live last night, nobody expected him to say anything major. People thought it would be another quiet night. Maybe some music previews, maybe him vibing with fans, maybe a few cryptic lines like he always does. But the moment he leaned forward, looked straight into the camera, and said, "Man, y'all don't even know half what went down." Von wasn't alone that night. The entire internet froze. It was like the room temperature dropped. Comments started flying in so fast the live could barely keep up. Even Quando took a second, staring at the screen as if he already knew he had just said something that would blow everything wide open again. From that exact moment, people felt the shift. This wasn't clout talk. This wasn't a trolling session. This wasn't some random rumor dump. This was personal. And the rawness in his face said it all. He wasn't trying to start drama. He was trying to defend himself in a way he hadn't done before. But the problem? His one sentence carried enough weight to crack the internet in half. Because for years, the streets, the fans, the blogs, everybody thought they knew exactly what happened that night in Atlanta. They thought the story was set in stone. King Von and his people pulled up, tensions rose, fists flew, shots rang out. And from there, the tragedy unfolded. But Quando was now implying that this official story wasn't the real story at all. That someone else, someone important, was there that night. Someone who was never mentioned. Someone who wasn't supposed to be tied into what went down. Within 10 minutes, clips of his live were everywhere. Say Cheese, DJ Academics, Candidly Cassie, No Jumper, Twitter pages, TikTok edits, Discord servers, everywhere. Fans were stitching reactions, bloggers were screenshotting comments, and a few insiders even claimed they knew who Quando was talking about, and that things were about to get messy. Emotions ran high instantly. Some fans of Von accused Quando of bringing up old pain for attention. Some supporters of Quando said he was finally telling his truth after being dragged for years. And then there were the neutral fans, the ones who didn't pick a side, but simply said the whole situation felt off from day one. They were the loudest in the comments now, spamming things like, "Bro, what does he know? Who was there? Is he talking about a rapper? Drop the name." The tension was building, and everyone could feel the story was about to explode even more. Back in his live, Quando took a deep breath, rubbing his hands together, visibly overwhelmed by the flood of energy. "Man, y'all want me to crash out," he muttered. "Y'all want me to say names so bad. But that ain't gonna happen. Not today. Not ever. But I will say this, if I go down, I'm not going down for somebody else's actions." Those words sent the chat spiraling. Fans began speculating whether he meant there was a second group involved. Maybe another crew, maybe another artist, maybe someone nobody ever considered. One comment stood out, pinned by fans on Twitter instantly: "He's not blaming Von. He's blaming whoever was with Von." And now the internet had a new mystery to solve. But what made this moment hit even harder was the emotional weight behind it. For years, Quando has been painted as the villain in countless posts, comments, and narratives. Even when he stayed silent, even when he tried to move on, even when he posted about focusing on family, the The shadow of that night always followed him. Music videos? Flooded with comments. Interviews? Always asked about the situation. Even casual posts? You know what you did. It never stopped. So when he said, "I've been carrying this by myself for too long," fans realized this wasn't a random rant. This was a release. A confession in his own way. A breaking point moment where a person feels so cornered by public opinion, they finally snap and try to explain themselves, even if it means opening a door they kept shut for years. Meanwhile, Von's fans reacted instantly. Some were furious. Some were hurt. Some were confused. Many felt it was disrespectful to bring up Von's name at all. "Let him rest," people commented. "Stop using his name for views." But others, even some loyal supporters, admitted they always felt more people were involved in the incident. They weren't defending Quando, but they weren't dismissing him either. They wanted answers. Candidly, Cassie posted a reaction video within minutes, saying, "Y'all, Quando Rondo just said some stuff that does not match the narrative we've been fed for 3 years. I'm not saying he's right. I'm not saying he's wrong. But I am saying that's somebody lying. Either the cameras missed something, or someone kept quiet." That reaction alone sent fans spiraling into new theories. Some said Quando was hinting at a well-known Chicago affiliate. Some said he meant a private security figure rumored to be there. Others said it was an unnamed industry figure, someone with power, someone who could cover things up, someone who never wanted their involvement revealed. And then, someone dropped a voice note on Twitter, allegedly from someone who claimed they were near the location that night. Whether it was real or fake, it went mega viral. In the muffled recording, a man says, "Bruh, it wasn't just them two crews. Atlanta know what really happened." That one clip gained 800K views in an hour, even though nobody knew if it was authentic or just chaos bait. The blogs had officially gone into overdrive. But what fans didn't see on camera was the emotional pressure building around Quando himself. Because the more he spoke, the more it became clear, this wasn't him trying to stir beef. This was him trying to survive the backlash that's been building for years. The live had switched from defensive to vulnerable in seconds. At one point he even said, "Y'all treat me like I woke up that day wanting to ruin my life. Y'all treat me like I planned this. Bro, I didn't even know what was coming. I feared for my life, and nobody wanna hear that." And that line cracked the audience again. Because for the first time, fans heard fear in his voice. Real or not, exaggerated or not, his tone didn't sound like someone gloating. It sounded like someone trapped in a narrative he couldn't escape from. Fans started asking him direct questions in the chat. So what really happened? Was it a setup? Who swung first? Was someone else behind it? Each question pushed him deeper into that emotional space. And then someone asked, "Why didn't you say something earlier?" He stared at the screen for a long moment before answering. "You think anybody would have believed me back then?" he said quietly. "Man, people already had their hero and their villain picked out before the story even broke. They ain't never wanna hear my side." That was the first time fans heard him speak like that. It wasn't anger, it was exhaustion. A feeling that no matter what he did, he couldn't shake the blame that hung over him. A feeling that his name would always be tied to something tragic, something heavy, something he couldn't control. And that's when things took another twist. Because out of nowhere, a comment appeared from an account believed to be connected to someone close to Von's side. Nobody knows if it was real. The username was similar to a cousin's page, but not verified. Still, people screenshotted it instantly. The comment said, "He ain't lying about somebody else being there. But I ain't the one to talk on it." When that comment hit the live, Quando's face changed. His eyes lifted slightly, then he shook his head with a smile that wasn't happy, more like disbelief. "See? Even they know," he said. "But they ain't gon' speak on it either." From that moment, the live turned into a circus. Twitter threads popped up listing names. YouTube channels speculated in real time. TikTok detectives began making connection charts. Discord servers debated theories. The entire internet suddenly stopped what they were doing just to follow this one developing story. But behind the scenes, Something else was happening. Something fans didn't notice until hours later. Quando looked off-screen multiple times, as if someone in the room was telling him to calm down or stop talking. At one point he even said, "Man, I'm done, bro. They gon' twist this anyway." But he wasn't done. The emotions were too loud, the accusations too heavy, the years of pain too stacked. So he kept going. "Vaughn wasn't alone," he repeated. "And I wasn't either. But y'all treat this like it was some cartoon storyline with just two characters. Nah, bro. It was chaos. Real-life chaos. People yelling, people running, people reaching. Ain't nobody in that moment thinking straight." So when Quando said, "Ain't nobody in that moment thinking straight," he leaned back like he was finally ready to drop the part he'd been holding in for 3 years. The live chat went insane. Hearts spamming non-stop. Comments flying every half second. And that's when he looked dead at the camera again, eyebrows low, voice steady, and said, "You'll keep asking who was there. But the real question is, why ain't they say they was there?" That sentence alone sent TikTok detectives into cardiac arrest. Because for the first time, Quando wasn't just hinting. He was implying that someone purposely hid their presence that night. Someone who didn't want their name attached to the chaos. Someone who wanted the public to think they were nowhere near the scene. Fans immediately began dropping theories in the comments. Was it another rapper? Was it a manager? Was it security? Was it somebody from the label? And then someone typed, "Bro. He talking about that dude," and all the OG fans instantly knew who that dude meant. A street affiliate who was rumored years ago to have pulled up with Vaughn but never confirmed, never posted, never spoken, never acknowledged. A ghost. A shadow in the background of the narrative. Quando saw the comments flying and shook his head. "I'm not saying no names. You'll want to get me locked up? You'll want me gone? Nah. I ain't stupid." But the way he said it, the hesitation, the subtle smirk, the eye shift, told fans everything they needed to know. He didn't have to say a name. His face said it quieter and louder at the same time. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, people close to the situation started reacting too. A well-known Atlanta blogger posted, "If Quando talking about who I think he talking about, man, this whole internet finna flip upside down." Another Chicago-based page said, "Vaughn had more people with him than y'all think. Ain't nobody trying to revisit those details because too many reputations at stake." And just like that, the internet storyline mutated again. But here's where the tension rose even higher. Quando paused the live for a second, looking frustrated, rubbing his forehead with his palm. You could tell something was bothering him deeply, like he was replaying the night in his mind. "Y'all keep telling me to move on," he said quietly. "How I'm gon' move on when I'm the only one that's been telling the same story since day one? Everybody else got the luxury to go silent. I ain't never had that." That line hit fans differently. Because whether you believe him or not, there was truth in the fact that he never got to disappear. He never got to go offline for 6 months, rebrand, and come back fresh. From day one, the narrative glued to him like cement. And that's when he dropped another bomb. "You think I wanted that to happen? You think I ain't got PTSD from that?" he said. "I don't even like being around crowds no more. I don't trust nobody. I can't even record without somebody mentioning Vaughn. Y'all don't know what I live with." For the first time, the live got quiet. It wasn't just drama anymore. It was trauma, raw and exposed. You could almost feel his heart rate through the screen. But the peace didn't last long. Because out of nowhere, a notification popped up on Quando's live. Not a random fan, but a verified account belonging to a rapper who was loosely connected to the situation. The person typed, "Bro, leave the past alone. You saying too much." Fans went wild. They screenshot it, reposted it, zoomed in on the username, tagged it across every platform. And the fact that this particular rapper decided to comment, someone who never speaks on anything related to the incident, made it even more suspicious. Quando saw the comment, squinted, and then said, "Funny how the people who wasn't supposed to be there always the first ones to tell me pipe down." The internet exploded. Within minutes, people started digging up pictures, old tweets, videos, and trying to piece together who was present that night. TikTok detectives started dropping long slideshow videos titled, "Who Was Really There the Night Vaughn Died?" complete with arrows, freeze frames, blurry silhouettes, and dramatic music. Some of it was nonsense, some of it was convincing, but all of it went viral. But the biggest twist? Someone inboxed a known blogger claiming they had footage, unseen footage, from a second angle that never went public. The blogger posted the message blurred out, but the caption said, "If this clip is real." Quando wasn't lying. Fans lost their minds. People were begging the blogger to drop it, but he didn't, at least not yet. Back on the live, Quando was visibly spiraling, not in a reckless way, but in a way that showed he'd been holding this in for years. He paced around the room, sighing, occasionally looking off camera as if someone was warning him. "Man, my label gon' call me tomorrow," he said, laughing bitterly. "Watch. They gon' tell me I'm messing up the brand. Messing up the image. Like I ain't got a life outside music." At that moment, a friend or family member in the background whispered something to him. Quando snapped back, "Man, I don't care no more. They already hate me. They already believe what they want to believe." The friend stayed quiet. But Quando didn't stop. That whole night was a setup for failure, he said. Ain't nobody expected fists to fly. Ain't nobody expected guns to go off. It was supposed to be a conversation, bro. A talk. A talk. But when extra people get involved, when lives get put in danger, it ain't just a Quando versus Vaughn story no more. It's bigger than that. Way bigger. Fans immediately zoomed into that line. Extra people get involved. TikTok's comment section turned into a war zone of theories. Twitter Spaces popped up discussing it. YouTube live streamers went live instantly, collecting super chats while breaking down every sentence. But what struck people the most was the emotion in Quando's voice. Not cocky, not dismissive, not jokey, but shaken. Even scarred. And whether you think he's guilty or innocent, the emotional shock in his tone felt real. Then he told the part that really shook the internet. "You know what messed me up the most?" he asked quietly. "Seeing his boys cry. Seeing them scream. Seeing them panic. I ain't no monster. I ain't wake up wanting to see nobody hurt. That moment messed me up forever. 'Cause them dudes ain't deserve that pain. Vaughn ain't deserve that pain. Nobody did." It was the first time he ever acknowledged Vaughn in a way that felt human, not defensive. But the live didn't stay emotional for long. Because one comment changed everything again. "Tell them who threw the first punch." Quando froze. The chat exploded. People begged him to answer. Others begged him not to. It was chaos. He finally exhaled slowly and said, "I'm not telling that. That's street business. That's man-to-man business. But I will say this, y'all been blaming the wrong people. Some of the loudest talkers online wasn't even there. And some of the quiet ones? They was right in the middle of it." Fans lost it. TikTok creators stitched his live faster than they could breathe. And then, another twist. Someone in Vaughn's camp, an actual member, someone fans recognized by face, posted a cryptic Instagram story minutes later. It said, "Folks wasn't lying, but he ain't telling the full story either." That single story sparked a firestorm. People asked, if he's not lying, then who's the hidden person? Who's the mystery figure the street's been covering for? Why was this person protected? Why wasn't their name ever mentioned in police reports? And if they were there, what role did they play? As theories got louder, Quando got quieter. You could see him wrestling with himself. Do I keep going? Do I stop? Do I protect myself? Do I protect others? The weight of years of accusations hung on his shoulders. Then he said something nobody expected. That night didn't start in the parking lot. Y'all don't even know what happened before that. That night didn't start in the parking lot. Y'all don't even know what happened before that, Quando said. And the moment those words left his mouth, the energy in the live shifted like somebody dimmed the lights. He wasn't talking loud anymore. He wasn't pacing. He wasn't emotional. He was calm, too calm. And that made fans even more nervous, because people know that when someone who's been ranting suddenly gets quiet, that's when the real truth starts slipping out. He took another breath, looked down, then looked up again. "I ain't gonna go into detail," he said. "But let's just say, that parking lot wasn't the first spot folks seen each other that night. People crossed paths before that. Words got exchanged. Tension was already there. And some people know exactly what I'm talking about." The chat exploded instantly. Fans spammed, "What you mean before? Who saw who? Drop the story. Bro, don't hold back." Even people who disliked him were curious now, because the official story everyone thought they knew always started with the parking lot. But Quando was hinting that the fuse of the explosion was lit somewhere else, maybe earlier in the night, maybe inside the club, maybe outside the venue, maybe in the street. Then he said the line that sent the whole internet into a frenzy. "Somebody from Vaughn's side approached us earlier. Somebody y'all never heard about." And that's when the energy changed. Fans were losing their minds. TikTok detectives started stitching clips saying, "We missed a whole chapter of the story." Candidly, Cassie dropped a reaction within minutes saying, "If this is true, then yo, this case was messier than anybody knew." YouTube channels began streaming instantly, arguing over who that somebody might be. But Quando didn't stop. He leaned closer and said, "Y'all keep thinking it was one group versus one group. It wasn't like that. It was people running around, people arguing, people trying to break things up, people yelling from both sides. It wasn't no clean-cut situation like y'all think. It was chaos." His voice cracked a little. Not with fear, with exhaustion. "And y'all want to know the crazy part," he continued. "Half the dudes talking the loudest now wasn't even there. They weren't in the city. They weren't in the mix. They found out on the internet like y'all did." Then he paused again, rubbed his face, and said something fans never expected. "I'm tired of being the villain in a story that involved more than just me. I ain't saying I'm perfect. I ain't saying I made the right decisions. But I ain't the only person whose actions mattered that night." At that moment, someone off-screen whispered urgently, "Don't say too much." You could hear it clearly. A man's voice. Low. Warning. Quando ignored it. "You know who ain't said a word in 3 years?" Quando said. "The person who escalated it before the cameras turned on. The person who y'all never mention. The person who walked away and kept living normal. Meanwhile, every time I breathe somebody say, 'You this, you that.' Man, y'all don't know half the truth." People lost it. Twitter erupted. Reddit threads popped up instantly. Fans grabbed popcorn. People who weren't even interested in rap drama were suddenly glued to the situation, like it was a Netflix series dropping live episodes. Then he said something even crazier. And let me say this, Vaughn ain't even know what was going on fully. He ain't know what his boys said earlier. He ain't know who walked up on us. He ain't know the energy. That man jumped into something that wasn't even meant to go the way it did. That statement hit the internet like a meteor. Even Vaughn's supporters, the most loyal ones, paused. Because even they remembered clips showing Vaughn walking up without hesitation, without fear, without knowing fully what was happening. Fans began arguing intensely. He lying? Or maybe someone really did stir the pot. Or maybe something happened inside the club before the cameras. Or maybe it wasn't as simple as everyone thought. Meanwhile, Quando kept spiraling deeper into the truth he'd been holding. "You know the part y'all never ask me," he said. "Why I was even there. Why we didn't leave earlier. Why certain people said certain things. Why certain dudes acted weird that night. There's so much y'all don't know." The chat begged for details. He shook his head. "If I talk, people gone disappear. Labels gone panic. The streets gone crumble. Y'all think this is entertainment, but this real life. Folks got families. Folks got careers. And some folks been hiding behind silence for 3 years hoping I never say a word." Then he said the most cryptic sentence of the night. "The person y'all think was the aggressor wasn't even the one who sparked it." Fans froze. Who was he talking about? The internet exploded with speculation. Some said he meant a hidden affiliate. Some said he meant someone who threw the first verbal shot. Some said he meant someone who misled Vaughn. Others said he meant someone who told Vaughn something that wasn't even true. Then, for the first time, Quando got emotional. His voice cracked. His eyes watered. I wish it never happened. I wish I left earlier. I wish people didn't hype stuff up. I wish folks didn't lie to Vaughn about certain things. 'Cause I don't think he wanted that night to go the way it did. And deep down, y'all know that too. A silence fell over the live. Even the chat slowed for a moment. You could hear a pin drop. Then the emotion shifted again. Y'all think I ain't tried to reach out? Y'all think I ain't tried to fix things behind the scenes? People walked away from me. People cut ties. People unfollowed me out of fear. Out of politics. Out of pressure. Not because they believed I was wrong, but because the internet picked its villain before the truth even came out. Fans were stunned. Whether they believed him or not, nobody expected him to open his chest like this. Then came the final twist. Y'all want me to say the name? Y'all want that name? Y'all want the real truth? The chat exploded. Yes. Drop it. Say it. This the moment. Quando stared at the camera for 10 whole seconds. The longest 10 seconds in internet history. Then he said, if that person wanna tell the truth, they can go live. They can speak on it. I'm done taking bullets for everybody. If they wanna keep quiet, cool. But I ain't covering nobody no more. Fans begged for more. He shook his head again. I already said too much. He ended the live. The screen went black. Within minutes, every platform on the internet caught fire. Rap pages went into chaos. Fans debated non-stop. People close to the situation posted cryptic messages. Some denied. Some hinted. Some refused to speak. But one thing was clear. Whatever version of the story the world thought they knew, that version was shattered tonight. And the mystery of the unnamed person, the ghost in the story, became the biggest question in rap culture. Who was really there that night? And why have they stayed silent for 3 years? The internet wants answers. And this story isn't finished. And now that everything has been laid out, the emotions, the contradictions, the hidden players, the unspoken names, and the truth that slipped through the cracks, there's one thing everybody watching needs to understand. This situation is nowhere near over. Every sentence Quando dropped tonight reopened a chapter the internet thought was closed forever. Every hint he gave pointed to someone nobody expected. And every pause in his voice suggested that the real story, the real truth, is way deeper, way darker, and way more complicated than anything the public has ever heard. So now, the question shifts to you. Do you believe someone else was there that night? Do you think Quando told the full story, or just his side? Do you think the unnamed person will ever come forward? Or is this one of those stories that stays buried until someone slips again? Whatever you believe, this moment changed the narrative forever. The blogs are watching. The fans are debating. The streets are whispering. And the internet is waiting for the next move. Because once a story cracks open like this, it never closes cleanly again. So now it's your turn. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell us what you think really happened. Who do you believe? Whose version feels real? And who's hiding in the shadows? Make sure you hit that like button if you stayed locked until the end. Smash subscribe so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding chaos. And turn on those notifications, because the next update could drop any second. This story isn't ending. It's just beginning.